Good morning and welcome. My name's Cliff Hurst. If my face is not familiar to you, it's because I'm new on the faculty here. I teach entrepreneurship, and it's my privilege to introduce today's guest speaker. A few years ago, there was an advertisement on television whose theme was that and is always better than or. Like coffee and cream is better than coffee or cream. Peanut butter and jelly is better than peanut butter or jelly. If you're staying at a bed and breakfast, that's better than a bed or breakfast. I have known our speaker, Tracy Gorham, for 11 years now. We met when she had just finished her degree at Westminster College, and I was beginning my first teaching position there. And from knowing her this long, I want to say that Tracy is a both and kind of a person. Tracy is bold and humble. She is daring and caring. She has a smart mind and a big heart. She is a successful entrepreneur and is open to learning and feedback. She is the founder and CEO of a tech company, which is a male-dominated industry, and she is a woman, a wife, and a mother. Tracy is a very busy executive, and she has taken 2 days out of her schedule to fly from Salt Lake City to be with us here today. It's my privilege and my pleasure to introduce to you our guest speaker today, Tracy Gorham, who is the founder and CEO of ConexED. Tracy, thank you so much.
Oh, you're so great. Thank you, Cliff. Really appreciate it. Thank you. It's an honor to be here today to talk to students who want to grow and do better and succeed in life with meaningful ways. I am Tracy Gorham. I'm the founder and CEO of ConexED and Campus Anywhere. Some of my accomplishments. So I've had a 25-year career of being an entrepreneur and a business owner. I built businesses from the ground up, 4 software companies from the ground up, every single line of code, never using a third party, with operational excellence. It's really important to develop it based on what the needs are, right? You can't do a third party and hope that it's going to solve the overall product and solution and problem. I've worked in 37 markets and developing 160 different applications for high-valued customers, mainly in the telecom industry and also education. I have supported over 10 million students on our software platform in 12 different countries. And I have filed 3 patents, some around Campus Anywhere and ConexED. However, I haven't always been this strong, determined, unstoppable CEO that you see here today. I have a true founder story and something that has built grit, tenacity, has had pivotal life-changing moments, and that has really mapped to my why. So I want to share that story with you today. And it starts when I'm 13 years old. It's a really emotional story. I'm sitting in 3rd period class. 2 officers come to the door and ask me to go with them. I didn't know what was going on. My first thought was like, oh no, what happened? What's going to happen? But then I realized it's what's happening right then and there. I'm walking down the hall. They're not looking at me, not talking to me. I can feel their presence. Right there in front of the school is that roundabout, and there's a cop car waiting for me. I'm 13. I get in the cop car. They drive 5 hours to a small town in Utah and drop me off at a double wide trailer, and that's my new foster home. At night, I realize what true abuse is. I'm 13, and the other 3 foster girls are 15 and 16 years old. It was really tough. At the age of 15, a judge asks me to come and discuss my life with him. And he asked me if I want to be in that foster home, and I said, no, not at all. Why would I want to be in an abusive home? Well, I didn't realize that that answer was going to immediately emancipate me. So at the age of 15, they dropped me off in the middle of Salt Lake City with a garbage bag, a backpack, and $100. Now I have to survive on the streets. And what I went through, hunger, sleeping on the concrete, no 15-year-old girl should ever face that. Well, I got really lucky. A grandfather that I only met twice found me, asked me to come live with him in Louisiana. And for the first time, I felt this inclusion. I experienced diversity. I really felt welcomed, and it was beautiful. However, my grandfather started to get ill, and I needed to go back and live on my own again. I was 17 years old, so I decided to go back to Salt Lake City, where I was a maid, I waitressed, I cleaned the bathrooms of a movie theater. And that's what I was doing when I was 19 years old. And I decided I needed to do something else. I didn't have a high school diploma. I didn't tell my friends I didn't have a high school diploma. I was embarrassed. However, I got the courage and the gas money to drive to Salt Lake Community College, walked through those doors, went to the advising office, and met somebody named Cindy Clark. And what Cindy Clark did for me was remarkable. And that's what is happening on your campus with holistic advising. What she did is walk me down to the financial aid office, sat with me, be the surrogate that I needed to talk to the financial aid coordinator and ensure that I got the Pell Grant that allowed me not to clean the bathrooms of that movie theater. And I could focus on my education. And that's what remarkable educators do. They see somebody who really needs the help and the support, who doesn't have that support network. And I know at OWU, that's what happens every single day here. This day is dedicated to that, which is so inspiring to me. She also went above and beyond and found a program at Westminster College, a liberal arts college, so I could grow and get more of my degree and educational career. And that's where I met Clifford Hurst, who did some remarkable stuff and who is a true Cindy Clark. And I thank him for what he's done for me throughout the years. So at Westminster College, I was part of the first cohort for a project degree planning in a program. There was 30 people in this first cohort. It was 5 semesters, and the first semester, 24 people failed. I failed. The staff, faculty, students were all confused. We don't know what was going on. And one person said, if I could just knock on the door of my coach and get the answers that I need immediately when I need it, instead of drive to campus, which was 2 hours away for him, I could succeed. And so with that inspiration, I developed something that would help him get that connection, that holistic coaching and advising and student services that he needed to be lifted up. So with that experience, harnessing what we experience and paying forward to other students or other people, whatever product you want to build, if you do it with your experience in something that is crucial to you, you're going to build a better product, better than anybody else. And doing it from the ground up is essential. So that product now is incredible. It's been a decade building this product with love and passion, and that's what it really takes. And so I hope that you take some of your challenges and some of the roadblocks that you built and make it into your superpower. I am gritty, I'm tenacious, and determined to do anything based on those life experiences. So a few things that I've learned building businesses and companies that I hope that you will take to heart, and it will inspire you and give you a little bit of a roadmap. But I also would love to answer any questions at the end that you might have. So if you think of something, please write it down. Partnerships. You have to partner with other people. You can't do it on your own. You really can't. I was trying to do it on my own, but I needed to have a partner. However, partnerships can either make you or break you. I've had both, and I'll tell you a couple of those stories. So what you first want to do is create partnerships that make sense, and this is how you do it. You assign roles in department, clearly defined roles in departments. In my company now, there's many different departments. There's operations, there's sales, there's marketing, there's software, and there's customer success. When I started, there was really just sales, operations, and software development, right? And so I had 3 partners, and we all took different roles of that. You just really need to define those roles. You also need to assign responsibilities. You need to understand what it is that everybody does. What's that grind? What should you do? What's your responsibility? Because if something falls through the cracks, you can point to the right person and quickly understand and motivate and pivot around that if something does fall through the cracks. Goals and accountability. Now, based on the tasks and responsibilities, assign those roles. You have to hold them accountable. I didn't with the first partnership. So that person, I couldn't hold accountable because I didn't have responsibilities. I didn't map towards those goals, and I couldn't pinpoint what it was that they were slipping. It took too long to see that, and sometimes it had some really bad effects. If I had that goals and responsibilities, I could quickly have notified, everybody within the company to say, hey, this is not working. So it's reactionary. You have to be reactionary. You don't have the time to slip up. You've got to see it and you have to react. So goals. And what I do with my team right now, 30, 60, 90 days. So everybody in my company, even myself, I have a 30, 60, 90-day plan, and we revise it and talk about it all the time. And then define the exit early on. What is the exit? Where do you want to go? Do you want this a lifestyle business? Do you want to build it and sell it in 3 years? What is that exit? Because that's going to be your path. Are you going to raise money? Are you going to do it organically? You have to talk about the exit the very first day. So everybody is on target with that exit. So with the partnerships, how do you find a partner? That's the question, right? Well, doing things like this really help. Networking, being outside the box, outside your normal thing that you do. How I found my CTO was a little bit different. So in 2010, I'm a front-end developer. I needed a back-end developer. And I thought, okay, maybe if I can connect with the University of Utah computer science engineers that are going there in the master's degree. Where are those guys? Where are those women? Where are those people? And back then, OkCupid had a lot of nerds on that platform. So I put on a profile, and then I started just meeting up with some really interesting engineers. To this day, I still have really good friendships with several of those people. However, there was one person that came into my DMs, and he was remarkable. I remember meeting him at an event for our mayor of the city. I did their website for a nonprofit that the mayor was doing, and this was an event for that nonprofit. And I remember him, and I'm like, wow, he is really the smartest, most talented engineer I've ever met. And I was meeting a lot of them, right? Things were going well. I started actually dating him. I wasn't talking about ConexED. And finally he said, okay, what is ConexED, and why do you have your OkCupid profile still up? And I'm like, oh God, okay. So I talked to him about it, and the conversation was amazing. He told me, because I opened up, that he was one of the first developers at eCollege. I had no idea. I'm like, oh my God. And he also loved what I was trying to solve, is student success and building up students in high-touch, meaningful ways. And so it just clicked. And then 9 months after, we got married. And so our first kid is ConexED, let's just put it that way. And we got married in Hawaii. We sold a contract to BYU in Hawaii and got married that night. So we wrote off the whole entire wedding as a business expense. So you could do that. So, I'm not saying don't marry your CTO if that's not right. But if it is, hey, go for it. But, get outside the box and really connect with people. Think about who you want to connect with and always be a different person. Don't connect with always the same people because you need different things. You need different talents to build a business, right? So think about where is that person? How can I connect with them and get out and do it? So, OkCupid was great, by the way. Okay, so early stage go-to-market advice. So this is really important. You really need to do this fast and get out to market really early on. You can't just keep on muddling around. So this is how you do it. You get your product in the hands of your customers quickly. That's what I did with Cliff. Poor Dr. Hurst. I'm like, hey, Dr. Hurst, he's, definitely that Cindy Clark. So I had a very clunky beta, and he actually used it. And it was remarkable. He gave me some feedback that was so valuable, and I thank you, Dr. Hurst, for doing that. So get out there. Don't make it perfect, because if you try to go down the rabbit hole trying to perfect what you think your customers need, but you have never talked to them, what are you doing? You're just wasting time you don't have, and money, right? Get somebody who cares if it's ugly. Just be transparent. Sorry that this is pretty clunky, but I need the feedback to know what to refine, right? And if you're transparent and honest, people love to give you feedback, and they will. They want to be a part of it. Also, charge for your pilots. 100% charge, even if it's a pilot. There's some very clear reasons why. First of all, they're never going to value your product. If it's free, it's going to sit there, and they're not going to feel like they need to do anything. If they pay for it, they feel like they need to use it, right? Because they paid something for it. Make it low cost, make it whatever, but charge for it. They also need skin in the game, and then they will give you feedback. And it will show you if you truly have a market. If somebody is willing to pay for it, there is a market there. So charge for it. And then they'll definitely, give you feedback too. So learn about your customers' buying cycles. Here in education, it's definitely wonky. So if I didn't learn that quickly, it would definitely be an issue. So one thing that I love to do is understand the next annual, what they're trying to solve. Is there some data? Is there a grant? Is there something that is based on their funding that I could provide, like California community colleges? I provide our software with all 116 colleges. One thing that I learned really quickly is that they get money from the legislation office based on MIS reason codes. These are reason codes for academic advising, counseling sessions, and basic needs. So what I did with my scheduling system is I baked those in very precisely to always capture every single interaction that would report accurately for those reason codes. So every college will get the money that they deserve. But then also, we can see with that is those activities, who we're talking to, why, what help they need, and it just allows them to understand where they should put more money into staffing. It's brilliant. So understand your customers and what they're trying to solve, when they're trying to solve it, and be out in front of that. Buying cycles are big. And then get your customers' feedback. I've said that throughout. Seriously, you need to always ask them. I have an actual board of customers, 15 customers throughout the country in different levels. Some are presidents, some are chancellors of the entire district, some are deans and directors, right? A couple of students. It's really important to understand your customers at all levels, whoever you serve. So one thing, the seasonality. Oh, I wanted to say something about here too. So one thing that I did in early stage is I know I needed to get in front of my customer. And so what I did is I sat down and called 200 deans and directors. I sat down, really needed to go to the bathroom after that, but I called all of them. And I got my first 10 clients out of that. And this is what I asked them. I said, I think I have something interesting, and I'd like your advice. So you ask for advice, you get money. You ask for money, you get advice, right? So ask advice. And everybody always wants to give advice based on their job. You're trying to solve an issue of their job. They're really invested in that too. So ask for their advice and you will get far. That's one thing I wanted to hit on. Evolution of your product is necessary. It's like software is super organic. Any product is really organic. You don't just build it like, okay, we're done. You're never done. To this day, we have 2-week sprints, software releases, every 2 weeks, okay? We put out features, new features. We refine the product for the stuff that we've already had every 2 weeks. In fact, 140 different refinements went out last week. Yeah, because I just love software. I'm a nerd with a really good wardrobe. It's kind of something that I do. But yeah, so refine your product. So here's a couple things. It's gonna look a little wonky, but this is our ConexED contact card. This is how it was in 2013. This is what Clifford used. His face would be on there and his contact information, and students can schedule and knock on his door. Oh my gosh, Clifford, I am so sorry I made you use that. But thank you. But here's what it looks like today. So it's refined. And this, before, it was built in a different technology. Now it's built in JavaScript, 2 lines of code, and this ConexED card can go anywhere. It can go in an LMS. It can go in a website. It can go anywhere, just 2 lines of code. And they can do actionable things. Students have the power to connect, schedule, all of that. So we refined it, and we still are. Here's the student dashboard. This is what it looked like in 2013. Oh my goodness, that's painful. But, I mean, there's a couple things you can do. All the ConexED cards are there. They can talk to financial aid, advising their professor, whatever, right? But here it is now, today. What we've learned is students need a really clearly defined pathway, actionable milestones that they can do. They also social media, things that they can decide what is quick links that they want to know. So all of this is customizable to the student. And then they can customize who they want to talk to. So even the ConexED cards got even smaller, more dynamic, and they can decide what their student network looks like. And so they can connect with their Cindy Clark anytime they want and build that around them and their needs. Here is what the instant chat looks like. Whew. It did what it did, and it did it okay. Okay, so, and then there's the inter-cafe meeting, and that was our video communication for compliant, accessibly compliant video communication in 2013. Yeah, Zoom, I know you're here now, but darn it, you know, that's okay. The instant chat virtual lobby, what we wanted to do, again, is capture the MIS data, capture data, get more information in front of the students, while you're just waiting in a virtual lobby. Make sure our AI actually funnels you to the right lobby, and then there's chat and there's other things that you can do, but that's an evolution of that product. And then lastly, I'll just show you the scheduling system. So it did what it did, it was great, but then now you can just do a lot more, and it's clearly used across the ecosystem of the entire university or college campus, so you only need one system, is what we knew that students need, so they can just learn one scheduling system and then capture all the data. So what I'd like to tell you is what you need to do is find your Cindy Clark. If it's here, that's amazing. Build more Cindy Clark moments. Ensure that you have a mentor that really helps. This is Cindy Clark. She's so special. Just seeing her face just lights my soul, and I hope that you find your Cindy Clark and really grow to be successful. I know I left a lot of time left, but hopefully we have some questions that you would like to ask me for entrepreneurs, of my background, of all the hard things that I went through. I would love to learn more about you. I'd also encourage anybody to share their Cindy Clark moments if that feels right to you. So I'd like to open that up. And would you like to do the Q&A with me? Yeah.
Hello? There we go. Okay, if you have a question, just raise your hand and I'll come around with a microphone.
I can also tell a couple more stories about a few venture capitalist meetings that I've had early on. We are an organically grown company. So I have not taken any VC or private equity funds. And it's interesting because I decided it is best to get in front of the customer. Their money is much better than a VC money because where you get your money is where you serve and who you serve, right? And so I serve the leaders of universities and community colleges, and that's where I get my money. So I'm always going to make sure that they're first. So, living in Utah, 10 years ago, starting a business, trying to get VC funding, it was tough. I'm gonna tell that story, okay? So one time, I'm sitting at a table talking to a VC. My story is really helping the students who need the success, the support the most, right? And these guys are like, just silver spoon. They had everything paid for them. They didn't really need the support, right? And I'm telling them why it's important that students have the mechanism to reach out when they need it. And they're like, well, why? They're just, there. Their parents are there. I'm like, well, not everybody has parents. Not everybody has that support. He just couldn't wrap his head around it, right? I'm like, okay. And he's like, listen, Tracy, you're pretty. Why don't you go into sales? And I looked at him. I slammed my hands on the table and I go f*** yourself. So we're recording. Can we bleep that out? I did. Sorry, forgot we were recording. Yeah, that happened, and he couldn't believe it. And I walked out, I'm like, I don't think he's going to invest. It's so interesting. But now today, things have changed. There are investors that want to do social good. There are investors, so you can really find somebody that matches what you want to do. It has changed, thank goodness. I'm so happy that it's changed. There's a question.
Hi, Tracy. So early on, you talked about the importance of grit and determination.
Yeah.
I've had cause in recent weeks and months to have a lesson, sort of return to a lesson about one step back, sometimes opening up 2 steps forward. So could you talk a little bit? Do you have an example when a challenge or a setback has turned into something positive for you when you were building and growing your businesses?
Absolutely, yeah. So I'll talk about a couple of customers, and I wish I could say some of their names, but I just want to make sure that they're protected. But there was a couple of customers that wanted to pull back their usage of our technology. There was new leadership. They didn't understand the technology. They used other things, and they're like, no, we want to do what I used here. I don't know who you are. Sorry, we're going to move this in. And so what I did is I sat down and really listened to him. I begged him for a meeting. I'm like, please just meet with me. Don't say no. Let's continue this. I was ready for that meeting. Oh, yes. I went to students that used our technology. I asked them for quotes, for testimonies. I went to the staff members who utilized it throughout the campus. I asked them for testimonies. I built a case study. I only had 3 days to do it, And then I also went and pulled a ton of data. And I had like 10 sheets of this brilliant data. And I sat down and I poured over all of that. And he's like, oh. And I'm like, yes. So let's discuss this. And in fact, I think we can add a couple of things. There's another module that you guys aren't using. And not only did they renew, but they added more product. So I'm like, thank you for that. So now, because of that meeting, I'm like, why don't we do that every time we're going to renew? Get that student testimony, get that faculty data, and, and make a case study. And so right before they renew, 3 months, sit down, pore over it, and discuss it. And so our churn rate is super low. And it really makes them see the value, but then they also start buying more of our technology and software and products. And so, you got to pivot, you got to think on your feet, and you got to make it happen. So thank you for that question.
Tracy, thanks for sharing your story with us. And I think part of what makes it so powerful is thinking about the ways in which you've really been able to leverage that background of yours. I think when we talk about some of the adversities that our students face, and I'm a sociology faculty member here, but when we think about some of the adversities our students face through K through 12 education, how hard it is to get to college, challenges they face in college, there are so many points along the way that can be a hurdle to them ultimately succeeding and graduating. But you find the right mentors, as you shared about your mentors, it can make all the world of difference. And then you sort of flip that, though, by talking about how you drew upon all of those difficult life experiences that you had and turn that into an asset, like with the grit and resiliency. So I'm curious if you can talk about if there are other ways that you see yourself really leveraging that background in ways that became a strength for you.
Well, I leverage it in my day-to-day life. And I'm going to go more into personal, my family life. Now that I have my own family, I have a 4-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son, and of course my CTO husband. So what I like to do is leverage my experiences, those roadblocks that I learned. I don't want to give them roadblocks that would harm them, but I do make sure that they learn some lessons and they build grit. I hold them accountable, even at 4 and 6 years old. I push them to learn it on their own or find other ways of doing it and not cushioning everything that they do, because grit and tenacity is everything. You can solve business, personal, whatever it is, if you have that grit. And so I want to build it within my own children the right way, not a harmful way, and also my team, right? I hold them accountable, and they become stronger. And I think, some companies kind of hold back on that or whatever, but my team is so remarkably strong. Every single person that's in my company is a 10x person. They do the work of 10 people, and they do it perfectly. They don't work, 20 hours, a day, it's not like that, but they're just remarkable at what they do because we constantly redefine what their goals are and what they do great, and then just move the things that they don't do well out of their responsibility so they can be great. And then build grit inside my team too. So I think that's just so key to success. Thank you for that question. I appreciate it.
So you speak on grit a lot, and I know of a huge advocate for grit, and she really defines it. Do you know of Angela Duckworth?
No, I don't. Please.
Share. Okay. So, yeah, she wrote a book. I think it's called Grit: The Power of Passion and Perseverance.
Oh wow. Love
yeah,
that.
sorry, you just reminded me a lot of her. I just wanted to mention that.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get that book. Thank you. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that compliment. Truly. Is anybody starting a business or have an idea? Have you started a business? Okay, raise of hands. Who has an idea? Ooh, we got some. Okay. Who has started a business? Not yet. Okay. What are you guys starting? Put you on the spot a little bit. Sorry about that. Come on, let's have a pitch competition right now.
I have an idea to start a clothing brand.
Oh, cool.
It's rooted in, I guess the basis of it is a Christian clothing brand that provides a different outlook from the faith and just a different approach, pretty much.
And where are you at with that?
Honestly, it's just an idea.
Just an idea.
I have a lot of drawings and designs, and I have it all mapped out in my brain, but I have yet to make it reality.
What's stopping you?
Currently just school and course load and just life, but it's all at the end of the day, it's all
Sure.
excuses. But yeah, I just haven't pulled the trigger yet.
Okay, well, you need to find a good partner. And that would be, the first step, because once you have a partner, all of a sudden it becomes real, right? There's somebody else there, and then accountability starts happening. So find a partner and then really see what can happen there and define some goals. But that's awesome. I hope that you do it.
Yeah,
Go for it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and what other businesses are you guys? Come on, you got to share now.
So I'm in a class with Professor Hurst
Yes.
right now, entrepreneurship, and I'm trying to take advantage of the fad that's going on around vapes and food trucks. So
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to kind of.
You guys are sitting next to each other? This is weird. Okay. Please proceed.
Yeah. And so because it's such a fad, I kind of want to take advantage of it. But you asked him what was holding him back, and he said course load. And what's holding me back is kind of like the morality around it. I don't know. It doesn't feel. I don't know. It's a fun idea, and it makes a lot of sense, and I feel like it would work, especially with how popularized food trucks are becoming right now, and then kind of adding my own spin to it, but just
So
the morals around it.
Here's the interesting thing. Are you passionate about it, or are you just seeing a market?
I'm seeing a market.
So that may or may not be an issue. If you have a passionate business, then you can start it organically more quickly, right? If you see a market, then you would probably go through a VC route, right? Because they're all about the money and the market, right? VC might see your passion with that and might see a market, but it's not going to be the TAM, is not going to be as huge, right? And so you need somebody like a partner, but you need a VC, right? But you have to really clearly define what the total addressable market is, how you can grow it, and then you probably want to get money first, right off the bat. You would want to get a partner too, but somebody who is like, sales is everything. You guys would be sales. You guys would be like actually marketing and building up a brand and a following. Yeah, that's what my advice would be to you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. What about you guys in the back? You wanted? I thought you guys raised your hand at starting a business. No. You should. You look like you guys would partner really well.
Okay, it's just an idea that I'm starting with, but
Good.
I'm a marketing major and I'm really into social media. I run the social media page for the girls soccer team here.
Nice.
So I want to do something involved with that, and I'm really into clothes and fashion. So I was thinking of creating a social media platform just focusing on clothes and fashion.
Interesting.
So I know a lot of people of our generation will go shopping and post a haul, which is all the things you buy from what places, a short video on TikTok or send Snapchats but there's no platform designed just for clothes and fashion.
Interesting.
So I would create a platform in which people could post in feed areas similar to Facebook or Instagram, where you can post that content of what you're buying, where you're buying it, what deals are going on. Yeah. And then you can also have a chat area where you can connect with people. You can find connections that'll ask you questions of what career field you're in, so you can connect with people that are dressing similar to you based on your job, or what age range you fall in, so then you can dress with people similar to your age range. And so you'll connect with people that are similar to you and your style, and then you can ask for advice on what to buy, or if or what to pair this item with those similar to what your style is.
So that is really interesting, and I like your idea. But there's layers of different users, okay? The user that you just described for the software platform is not really the crucial user. The crucial user for you would be people who are in the industry, right? So people who care about thread count, people who care about the tactile, about how to sew it the right way, right? I mean, or people who are buyers for like Nordstrom's or for whoever. So you need to understand that, because that would be your core. And then those people would build the content that would feed up to those other type of users, which would be more interesting. So I would really think about what, like, first I would go in and just look at Indeed and see all of like clothing buyers, the fashion industry, what kind of jobs are out there, you know, what are they posting? And then find a couple of people who are really dedicated to that industry based on some really interesting, innovative, you know, fashion industry job posts, and then partner with somebody that has that fashion industry background. That would, you know, because there's going to be different layers of users, and you need that core user group first. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. So, for my class, we need like a business idea and like expand it.
Yes.
So my business idea that like I saw travel planning is so much time and money consuming. So I want to create a website that personalize your trips, and we have assignment that you go and ask people around to get feedback. And one of my friends asked me that if I have that like idea, but there are so many big companies, they already have data sets, they already have team members and even technology. What if like I bring up this idea and they take it and build their own? So have you ever had a time when you think that maybe university or some big tech company or whatever like company can have this idea and build it on their own?
So travel for very specific businesses or organizations, right?
Yeah.
So what you would have to do is really think about that organization, which one would need your technology the most. If it was education, right, then understand how they purchase their travel and what their travel needs are. I'd also, if you need their data, to make like an AI travel guide for them. We made an AI OCR of transcripts that will read any transcripts in the world and consume it and put it and place it exactly where the path for that college or university and what they offer. So what you need to do is first get trusted partners, because no one's going to give you that data. So you need to kind of prove it out. But yeah, you have to nail that market, understand how they buy the travel, and then go from there. But I can go deeper if you want later. But yeah, that's interesting. I like it.
Okay. So I noticed on your slideshow that your business started out as Cranium Cafe. Can you kind of explain what the rebrand to ConexED did for your business and how it benefited you guys?
Brilliant. Okay, so Cranium Cafe, when I was trying to think of a name for the business in 2010, before I even did any first lines of code, I was wanting to bring people together. And back then, we actually went to cafes and met, right? And I was sitting there at a cafe, and I had my cup of coffee, and there was like this imprint. So the C was an imprint, and it showed that we were at a cafe for a long time, and we had a good conversation. Man, I went down the rabbit hole, okay? Had too much coffee. But I also, Cranium Cafe, I wanted to, because in the project-based degree program at Westminster, that's where we met because we were in a cohort. So when we met, we would share ideas, and Cranium Cafe just made sense to me for some reason. However, when we grew, it wasn't a one-trick pony anymore. And I'm trying to sell to CIOs, and they're like, Cranium Cafe? It wasn't fitting, right? So I had to sound like a little bit bigger, a little bit enterprise level, which we are. And so I had to rebrand, and ConexED just made sense because we're connecting and education, right? And the URL didn't have the two ends, unfortunately, but you got to get whatever URL you have. So that's why I decided to change it to ConexED, and I appreciate that. That's a really good question. Thanks for noticing that, Cranium Cafe. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I'm gonna just jump on like giving you my idea. I'm in Cliff's class also. Well, I'll start. Like I have loads of ideas.
Sure.
But one of them, well, maybe I'll say two. So one of them is introducing like environmentally friendly like mushroom leather into the athletic industry by creating like batting gloves or golf gloves with like biodegradable, eco-friendly mushroom leather. It's up and coming in the fashion world. It's really only being used in like Gucci and like high-end brands. But if it could be incorporated into like athletics and stuff, it could be long lasting and more durable for these athletes that wear and tear their stuff all the time. And those things end up becoming expensive. So if you could have them for like 2 to 3 extra months, you save money too.
So there's a couple of questions I would ask yourself. Like, so Gucci, Fendi, whatever is using that, right? Why? Why is it only high fashion brands? Is it because per square or per however they measure it, is it so much more expensive than leather, right? And how much more expensive? Then who is actually the buyer that buys gloves, mitts, all those kind of other things? Is it a single parent that's buying that, right? Is it a college student? So they won't have that Fendi budget. So how do you, I mean, is it expensive on your end, and how can you drive down the cost for your user to actually buy it? You know, that is the very first thing that you have got to look into. Have you looked into how much that is per yard? That's how they say it?
Yeah, so there's like certain websites you can go to, and it's all has to be imported mostly from like the UK and stuff.
Okay.
But you can buy it where it's like kind of damaged, and that's obviously cheaper. So I mean, I was thinking like if I were to like try to sew this and do it, my boyfriend plays baseball, so we kind of came up with the idea together. And I was like, well, it would be kind of cool to like have him prototype them and stuff. But I mean, probably just with the messed up. But who knows what that messed up material would be? It might just have like a scratch or something that might not. So it is kind of expensive.
We'll talk more about this, but one question you have to ask yourself, how much of that material can you get? You know, and if you want, how big your TAM is, and can you serve that TAM? So yeah, we can talk more about it though.
Thank you.
Yeah. I didn't know I was going to give all this business advice. All right. Testing my skills here.
So in the presentation, in a lot of your replies, you talked about the importance of partnerships and having a partner.
Absolutely.
Do you think that's usually the best case to get, I mean, in every scenario, to like get an idea off the ground, or like, to, you know, or like, do you think it depends more on like what field you're in, or like your knowledge level, or do you think like most cases, the easiest way is like just to find a partner?
So there's several reasons, right? To get a partner or partners, it's good to have 3, because 2 could like, I don't know, I think 3 makes it stronger. Yes, you'll have different backgrounds and different things that you can pull together and make it stronger. Also, you just feel this energy by yourself, you know, talking to yourself all day long, you don't feel that energy, but you can build, and it's really about energy and innovation. Somebody else could have another idea that you didn't think about, so having partners are crucial. Also, if you're raising money, going in by yourself, a VC, early stage, they'll be like, who else is doing this with you? So have it together, build that responsibilities, build the goals, understand who does what, know what you want to do, and present together as a team. They're going to invest in a team, not a person, unless you've done it before, right? So yeah, partnerships are important, and also time and money. 3 people can pull in more time and money than 1 person. So partnerships is very vital, absolutely. So go out there and find yourself a partner.
So you talked about being a CEO and obviously a team leader.
Yeah.
So having a high productive team, what qualities and values do you look for in like trying to find new team members or things like that?
You know, I look for people who are very good at just specific things, not a jack of all trades, you know, because we have to fill and shoulder to shoulder together. So I want somebody who's exceptional in certain things. I also want somebody who knows how to communicate. Communication is everything. Communicating when, hey, I need help. I don't quite understand this. I have too much work on my plate. If you can't communicate that, then slowly whatever you're doing is tanking and the cracks are starting to spread. So if they're high communicators, if they know how to work on a team and they're excellent at a few things, then that is what I look for, absolutely. But I would say communication is number one, for sure. And then really make sure that they are who they say they are, because that happens too, right? They can sell themselves pretty well, and you got to validate who they are. Yeah. I love these questions. These are awesome.
So Tracy, we've heard from a lot of students who have ideas.
Yeah.
And obviously you were in that place at what point in time when you had an idea, but you pursued it. What do you think, when you're at that moment, when you've got the idea and the path could be I pursue it or I don't, for you, what was the difference between going after it or just saying, oh, that's just an idea?
Well, I'm very hard to employ. People don't know it. So, because I'm so strong, they're like, we don't want to deal with that hot mess. No, I really wanted to always be my own boss, you know, because I felt like I've been my own boss since I was 13. And I wanted to have determine my own future at my own, you know, requirements, right? And so I just knew I wanted to do it, and I was passionate to make money. You know, not eating for days, sleeping on the concrete. I never wanted to do that again. So I wanted to make sure that if I employ myself, then I know I'm going to have a paycheck, and I know I'm going to take care of myself, and I know I'm going to eat at night. So that was a huge motivator. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and you know, taking the first step is really hard to do. And getting mentorships, doing pitch competitions, getting up there, just, you know, being present, showing up is the hardest thing. I know you guys have heard that, but it truly is. And if you do have partners and if you do have a team, you can do it better, you'll be stronger, and it will just gravitate and uplift and innovate together. So get a team, you know, make sure that you are not just talking in your head, and validate what you're thinking. Validate it all the time. Validate at looking at who's hiring, why are they hiring, how much are they hiring, who's doing what in the industry that you want to go into. Just look at everything. You know, follow people on LinkedIn. Just do your research, really. Yeah, and start stalking people on LinkedIn and asking for advice. Definitely. But any other questions?
Yeah, so I know you like talk about like having these businesses, and you have like the moments where you're like struggling to like find success in it. Was there like a moment during your business where you were like, holy crap, this might actually work?
Yeah, I mean, when you first get the first couple paychecks. So when I had that clunky beta, and I called all those people, 200 people, and I got the 10 first customers, you know, first they're like, well, we want to pilot this, but it has to be for free. I'm like, wait a minute, I can't be for free. Why, you know, what's going on? Oh, well, there's an RFP process. I'm like, what is an RFP? I had no idea, right? And then they explained it to me, and somebody said, oh, and there's a threshold. And quickly I'm like, what's that threshold? Like all of a sudden I see like an in, right? You've got to listen really carefully, because they didn't tell you that. They're not going to tell you. Got to really listen. And they're like, oh, well, our department has a threshold of $3,000. I'm like, great, it's $299.99, right? And they're like, okay, fine. And when I got that check of $299.99, I knew that I had a business. You know, when you get that first check, you're like, okay, somebody's going to put real money cash on this. And that's when you know you have a business in a market. But you have to talk to your customers to define what the product is and help them solve their problems and what they're trying to do in the future. So yeah, get that money. Get that money. I'm not kidding you, get the money. So.
All right, so I think we're coming up against time. I'll turn it over to Cliff here and to close this out. Before I do, I just want to give a quick plug to the programs that we have happening here on campus. So we've all been inspired by Tracy's story this morning, and I want you to know that you are already on your entrepreneurial journey just by being here. You know, this program is part of Latham Bishop Ventures, and the way Latham Bishop Ventures works is we start with programs like this and great classes like Cliff's that spark interest and make you think, oh, entrepreneurship really is connected to stuff that I care about. And then there's a next step. And the next step for you is pursuing those ideas that you've been building in Cliff's class, or you've got these ideas and you haven't had Cliff's class. Well, guess what? We have a pitch competition in October. You have until the end of next week to submit for that competition. Don't be intimidated if you haven't had business classes, if you haven't had an entrepreneurship class. This is for everybody, all right? And this is an opportunity for you to do exactly what you've been doing with Tracy, where you're saying, hey, here's an idea I have. Is it good? How can I make this better? So it's a learning experience, and if you do a really good job, you can win some money. And also, if you do a really good job and you're well prepared, there is another step. And the next step is that we, Latham Bishop Ventures, we work with you to pair you with a mentor, to help you build a great business plan, to find some funding from the university, to maybe even find some space in the deck if that fits. So I want you to know, don't just stop with being interested. If something that's been talked about today has really ignited you somehow, what's next? There is always something that's next here at Ohio Wesleyan. Take advantage of that. All right, so Tracy, thank you so much. Cliff.
Thank you. Thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you. Yay.
Help myself, but ask Tracy one more question.
Oh.
Tracy, what one single piece of advice would you give to your 20-year-old self?
Wow. Geez, so many things. At Westminster, there was something that they had a competition to that you would submit, and I wrote the whole thing about Cranium Cafe and everything, right? And I wrote the plan. I knew it was going to be awesome because I submitted it based on my own experience at Westminster, and here's Westminster, and I should get this little bit of funding and other things. But however, they couldn't understand it. They didn't understand. The committee is like, we don't understand what you're talking about, right? It was so early on, and so they denied it. And that broke my heart because it was Westminster, because what I experienced, all of that. But I decided that it was a good business, and it can succeed. So people are not going to understand your business. People are going to shoot you down, say that's ridiculous. Why would anybody want to buy a mushroom mitt, or whatever, right? Don't listen to them. If you know your market, if you know your experience is real, then there is other people that are feeling the same thing, right? So go after it. You're going to hear no and no and no all the time. Don't listen to all of them. You know that you can succeed. Do your research, get partners, and go for it. And don't listen to the no's. You can do it. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Please help me give a warm thank you to Tracy for being here today. And Tracy, we have a small gift to remind you of your visit to OU campus, and I would ask if possible if you could stay around for a few minutes. There might be students who want to talk with you one-on-one or ask some questions they want to ask in front of the group. So if you can, I can.
Thank you.
Let's stay around a little bit. Thank you for being here.